Hey, it's Warren again. If you haven't watched the overview demo, this probably is one's a little bit more advanced for you. We're going into the details of the settings page. In the overview, which is a 20-minute walkthrough of everything, we kind of skim over some of the settings because some of them get a little more complicated than what the average person needs. So if you're interested in more details on the settings page, this is the video for you. Over here on the left, there's my phone. Social Scavenger app is open. It looks like this on the bottom left. So we just clicked on that and opened it up, and we haven't signed in yet. Over here on the right, we're at app.socialscavenger.com. This is where you build games. I've signed in using Facebook. You can sign in the top right using Facebook, Twitter, email. So I'm going to go into My Games. So under My Games, I'll be able to see any of the games I've created, any of the games I've joined. But what we're going to do today is we're going to create a game from scratch and just focus purely on the settings page. So it's pretty easy. I hit Create, and I'm off and running. Now over here, we're going to call this the Mega Settings game. Whatever you want to call your game, probably not that. And Mega Descriptions about settings. This is where you put in your description of your game. So this is pretty straightforward. It's the name, it's the description people will find. Over here on the left, I'll just sign in so we can see exactly what I'm talking about. We're going to sign in, and by default, it's taking us to the search screen. So there's some featured games that anyone can see, or they'll be able to search, and you can search and find your own game. So the name is will be what shows up here, and the description what shows up inside of it. Game entry code, we're going to put Mega Settings. Every game needs to have an entry code. So the only people who are going to be able to join your game are people who have that code. Now if you're a brand, you're doing a big game with us, obviously we have public games, you're probably using a white label though, so there are ways around that. But 99% of the time you're going to have that game entry code. Primary email, that's me, Warren at socialscavenger.com, and that's just going to allow us to have your contact information in case we need to reach out to you for any reason about your game. So that's it. I could stop right there and be done and leave every other setting blank, however they're set by default. We're not going to do that right now because we are going to look at the more advanced settings. That said, if you were just looking for the simple way to get going, you would do that, you would hit save, and you would start building your challenges. Let's scroll down. Okay, so under advanced, we've got game mode in terms of time. This is set for start anytime. That means people can come, they can join, they can play your game whenever they want. You're probably going to communicate when and where your game is, so that's going to happen naturally. But we can go into schedule. We can set a date, so we can set this for Friday to start at 10 a.m. and we can set it to end the next day, Sunday, at 10 a.m. and this is a nice 24-hour game we've created. So if we do this, what's going to happen is people are going to be able to get into your game and they're not going to be able to see any of the challenges because the game's not yet available. They won't see a series of grayed out challenges, they just won't see it yet. So that's your option. You can set a time zone to go along with that. Here we are in the ACDT, and we're going to put that back to start anytime. So anytime you can come in here, you can edit this as well. My other option would be to say 2 hours. So you can start any time, but once you start, you have 2 hours to get this game done. So another option in order to manipulate time. We're just going to go back again to start any time, and we're going to delete that time out of there. We're going to say we don't care about that. In terms of promotion, you won't see this standard and featured. Featured is how content shows up here, how games show up here. If you want a game featured, get in touch. In terms of search, by default, we can go and search and find that game as soon as we've hit save, or we can make it hidden. So if we don't want people to be able to find our game for a certain amount of time, we can do that as well. So we could have the full game built, we could have it set to start any time, but in reality we can make it hidden until we want it to. So again, that's another way to control when people can start or find your game. Under categories, the main one, it's set to active by default so people can come and play it. But really template is the only other one you're probably going to use. That's often used by team builders, by destinations resort who offer similar games but for different types of guests, different types of year. So if I want to be able to copy my game and create a clone of it, I'm going to make this a template. That means I'm going to build this game with all these settings, we're going to add all the challenges, and then in the future I'm going to be able to just come and hit the clone button on the main screen. I'm going to clone the game and then I can just edit it and create a slightly different version of it. So that's a pretty common feature people use. Once you've created that template, you're always cloning that template. So if you want a new template to clone, you create a new template. So you might want one game called Party New York, another one called Rockin' Vegas, and Around the Clock in London. So those would be 3 different templates you could then clone out for any type of event, team building, promo game, PR, product launch, etc. Unlock style, we've got offline and online modes. So you can set challenges to lock to each other. So I could say, you know what, you can't do challenge A until you've done challenge B. Now, if someone's playing the game offline, which is a feature, we're not going to be able to tell if they've completed a challenge necessarily and validate it on the server. So you could say, you know what, well, if they do challenge A, let them do challenge B. If they cheat it, we can always use the moderation settings to kick them out later and make sure they didn't win the game. Or you can choose online, which means, you know what, we have to validate this. We have to make this content, make sure this content goes to the server, we can see the photo, and then we're going to unlock the next challenge. Offline just keeps things going faster, and we recommend keeping things going faster and smoother for gameplay, and then dealing with anything else in the admin module under approvals. So unlock by completing. We can have a game unlock another game. That's a much higher tech setting. If you're looking to do that, get in touch and we'll talk about how that works. So now you're tying games to games. When it comes to reviewers, every time someone submits a challenge into this game, I'm going to have them email warren@socialscavenger.com, or maybe I wouldn't, because maybe I don't want an email every time. So I could set that as a primary, a secondary email, whatever worked for me. In terms of moderation, I can say, no, I don't care about moderation. We wouldn't recommend this. We'd recommend you put this to post-stream. It doesn't mean you have to moderate the content, but what it means is you'll have the ability to moderate the content after it's gone live. So as people are inside of a game, they're inside this sample game here, we'll just pop into it, and they're submitting challenges. When they submit challenges, they go to this live stream. So there's a challenge in the live stream. If I want to be able to remove that, I need to have set the moderation to post-stream or pre-stream. So post-stream means, hey, that content's going to go live. Once that content goes live, people are going to get points for it. But at any time, I can come into my game module back here on the microsite. I can do it on my phone, I can do it on any device, and I might reject that content. So I can take it down. It'll take the content down, it'll remove the points they earned for it, etc. You can also moderate content in a pre-stream. So if you're doing the Pepsi Scavenger Hunt Challenge in the US, and you want to make sure that every photo that goes live to the public has first been approved, you would set it to pre-stream. So pre the content going to this stream, you need to moderate it and give it the okay. So again, post-stream is what you would set 99% of the time. It just keeps the game flowing fast, and at the end of the game, really you're just going to validate the winners. You're not going to go through and moderate the content for 100 teams or even 20 teams. You're going to go see who won the game. Then you're going to moderate the content for that person. If that person did all the challenges properly, great, there's your winner. If they cheated, you're going to reject a couple of the challenges and now see who's at the top of the leaderboard. So that's highly, highly recommended. Early and late submissions, pretty straightforward in terms of if you've done a time game, you want to allow early submissions, you can do that. If you want to allow, approve, or reject late submissions, you can choose that as well. Again, by default, most people aren't doing timed games. They're timing them on their own. But if you use time games, you can decide, yeah, I'm going to let late submissions in. I'm not that strict. Players' locations. So in the live stream on the web, you'll see a map show up that'll show where they took the photo or video or sticker or whatever the case may be. And it's going to show up right beside the challenge. You can choose, no, don't show that. So again, that's commonly done by brands who are doing big challenges where people might be at home doing something, less so where people are out on the streets doing activities in the city, that kind of stuff. Then your location is a little less private. In terms of pricing, this is where you pay right here at the end of the settings page. So this can work in a couple of different ways, but you're going to pick your license type. So you've got a commercial license type, which is the most popular. The only licenses that aren't commercial are personal. So this is your birthday parties, your bachelorette parties, that type of thing. Educational, so we've got universities, we've got teachers association, teacher conferences, we've got people using it for all kinds of educational reasons, and then not-for-profit. So the price changes, comes down based on this. So if you're a personal game, you're going to pick however many teams. I can pick up to 20 teams, and it's $10 a team, it's $200. So you have different options based on that. If you're a commercial, you're going to notice that to start off with, your team's minimum is 10. So that gives you up to 10 teams. So the minimum price for a corporate commercial game is $300. So that's $30 a team USD. So that gives you up to 10 people can join. Once an 11th person tries to join, it's not going to let them. If you've got bigger games than 20 and you're into the 50, the hundreds, just give us a call and we'll work out pricing for your situation. If you're not sure what type of license type you are, again, you can click here and review the different types, or just give us a call. So that's it. We hit pay now, we save it, and we're good to go. You see I was able to save it because one person can join the game for free, and that's you. So now I'm in here into the challenges section. I can build challenges, I can do all that fun stuff, I can test the game myself. But really what we're going to need to do before we can let anyone else join is we're going to have to come in here, we're going to pay. It's done via Stripe, so it's super simple. It's your email, your credit card, your month, your CSV. Depending on your country, you might have put in your phone number and your address. And that's about it. You're done, you're ready to go, you've completed the settings. Again, that's the full version of the settings. This can be done in 30 seconds, or you can spend some time. You can always change them. So you can always come back in here, try different settings, see how they work for you, and then adjust them. So hopefully that covers all your questions on the settings page, and we look forward to having you play a game. Cheers.